Could we see an historic Arctic outbreak in September? Heavy rainfall continues to be a threat for the central and southern plains, and the tropics are quiet. How long do we expect it to last like this? It's August 25th, 2025. Let's get into the updates. As you should already know, much of us in the lower 48 right now are experiencing below average temperatures, and this cold air once again is expected to linger around at least for another week for some, before we see some of that heat moving back in. Although our models have begun to show something interesting after this heat, watch this extremely cold outbreak that pushes in as we move into the second week of September. If we were to see this would potentially be record breaking. Now we're talking 250 plus hours out, so the odds we see this type of cold outbreak play out exactly like this are not very high. That being said, our American model does see a similar outcome to our European model, with that cold air potentially entering through the northern plains as we get into the second week of September. The Canadian model is also expecting more cool and well below average air to be settling into the US as we push through the first and potentially second week of September. This right here is our European ensemble EPO teleconnection, and it's very obvious our Eastern Pacific oscillation wants to stay well negative. Now we're in a little bit of a gray area here because over summer, a negative EPO typically represents more cooler air in the plains and Midwest, while over winter, a negative EPO can actually mean a lot of very cold Arctic air settling in across much of the lower 48, not just in that plains and Midwestern region. Now we're about to be moving into fall, so not summer or winter. Regardless, a negative EPO typically does mean there is some cooler weather moving into the States, especially when it's this negative. Our Arctic oscillation dipping negative on the European ensemble as well does support that cooling trend. So while we need some more time to see if our European model may be onto something at the end of the first week of September moving into the second week, I will say all the trends are towards a cooler start to September for many people across the plains and out east. As I said, we're still expecting a considerable amount of rainfall over the next 4 to 5 days for portions of the plains. So stay weather aware if you're up here with this amount of rainfall. Flash flooding is inevitable in some places. The tropics are calm. Fernand is a tropical storm just heading off into the North Atlantic and likely will not affect anyone. And our disturbance down here that has just moved into the Eastern Caribbean has not really done well. That dry air and shear that I've been talking about in my previous videos has really affected it, and there's really not much here. Could we see this move off into the Western Caribbean and reorganize and potentially be a threat to the Gulf states? It's possible, so I'll keep watching it, but right now there's not too much to worry about. And taking a broader look out at the Atlantic Basin, there's not much going on out here either. You can see the MDR is quiet, the tropical Atlantic is quiet. Once again though, we are almost in September. The peak of hurricane season is typically around mid-September. So while it's quiet now, there is a lot of hurricane season left, and as we know from last year, sometimes it can get started late. We saw that with Hurricane Milton and Helene. I appreciate you guys watching this video. If you like this type of content, feel free to throw me a follow or sub. I make posts like this every day, and I stream every day as well to try and answer all of your questions. I'll see you in the next video.